What's up, everybody? I am Scott,
And I'm Jason.
and you are listening to Liquid Carnage. What the hell was that?
I'll shout out to all my Nashville friends. It was so sweet out there.
Oh man, you know what? I think you just completely alienated the great state of Tennessee from ever listening to this show again because of that accent.
Oh man. So the first night that we were there, we had a long day of travel, so we decided to go get something to eat. And it's really cold in Nashville. It was probably in the 20s when we were there. And so we go to a place, we warm up a little bit, and we have, I buy some southern ribs and some catfish and Noreen gets some like collard greens and so very southern
I do
dinner,
love
right?
collard greens. Go ahead.
Oh man, yeah. So we get our southern dinner and we're sitting there and this really nice looking couple comes in. They're probably my age, I'm thinking, and the woman comes down and she's only wearing a shirt. She's not wearing a jacket. She's not wearing gloves or anything. She goes, yeah, she just says, oh my gosh, it is so cold out there. And of course, I make a joke. Well, I'm from Arizona. I tried to put some of the Arizona heat in a mason jar and sell it like moonshine, but it didn't take and it's freezing. And the guy started chuckling and he said, yeah, when I was a kid, my father would take us out for squirrel hunting season and it'd be cold. It'd be like August and so cold. And now it doesn't get cold until January. And Noreen is looking at me and she knows that I'm ready to start laughing, right? She knows. She goes, Jason, don't laugh, don't laugh. Because first of all, who hunts squirrel? And second of all, I didn't even realize squirrels had a season for hunting.
Well, I
That
think it's
you actually had to have like tickets or a
permit.
pass or a license or something.
I think it really depends on the region that you're in.
Okay.
Um, Also, can we agree that never ever again will you make that mason jar Arizona heat joke?
Oh, wow. It didn't go over very well.
Oh man, that um,
You think
as well as
EP
a
is going to
fart in
comment?
church.
Wow. Okay. Well, all
That
right. Well, it went over. Hey, they laughed.
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure being that's a very polite
They were
society
polite.
down there.
They're very polite. I
It's
will say
very
this: they were very polite.
well.
Everyone's
Did you
really
ask him
nice.
how he prepared squirrel?
I didn't really get into it. I was still kind of overwhelmed by just the thought that they might even do squirrel. To be honest, it just sounded like a very weird type of a hunting season.
I tell you what, man.
Have you ever eaten squirrel?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. But it's funny you mentioned that. A friend of ours brought me bear backstrap to prepare for the Super Bowl this year.
Okay.
And so we had bear as one of the dishes at this year's game party. And I have to admit, it was very good. And my compliments to the chef. That was me, but everybody else was complimenting me for it though too. Um, Bear is very hard to get. Not as hard as squirrel, but I think they're both kind of greasy meats.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know that.
So you have to, and they're both herbivores, so you have to prepare. They're like pig. You have to get them both to 165 degrees internal temperature to kill all the bacteria and whatnot in there.
Oh, didn't
But,
know that. Okay.
yeah, but I have to admit, man, for exotic meats, squirrel's probably up there with bear. I mean, it's probably easier to get squirrel. You just got to go outside and find a tree and I don't know, throw a rock at it or do something.
Well, I will tell you, and I'll tell our entire listening audience, if you want some good advice and you have not been to Nashville, I highly recommend the city. It was one of the more enjoyable trips of recent memory that I can remember. Every bar you go into, not only does it have one bar, but it has like three levels, and each level has its own bar, our own band, a music band. And the downtown area is basically just one huge strip of bars and live music every night
Yeah,
of the week. The people were so friendly and so nice that the only thing I could think of is whatever preconceived notions we have of the South.
uh huh.
The people there totally destroyed any stereotypes or preconceived notions.
Well, that's good though, right?
Yeah. So yeah, if I could give any advice, I would definitely. And you haven't been to Nashville, I highly recommend going to Nashville. I think anyone who goes there would absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's on our list of places to hit up. once you get a chance to get a break, it's getting a vacation's at this point is hard enough as it is. But it's on one of the places we like to go check out and see in the next year or so.
Oh, I hope you do. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I feel like I gave my good advice for the day. So
Oh, that's
I
good.
did
Then
my
guess
part. I did my part.
yeah, that's true. We should also address the elephant in the room before our EP gets mad at us again. We do apologize for not having an episode last week. Jason was enjoying his time working out in Nashville, and I have become an assistant baseball coach for one of our local middle schools. So by the time I got home from work each night and practice, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was fried, and I had no desire to talk to anybody, let alone try to find a special guest host to record with. Because I've spent the better part of the last week yelling at teenagers, and it's exhausting, man. I have a whole new respect for coaches. I have a whole new respect for coaches.
It sounds like do you have a very good team this year?
Well,
they're there.
They seem like they're there. They seem like they're good kids.
Okay.
From what I understand, the school has not won a game in 2 or 3 seasons. So
wow. Okay. So this is the year to change all that.
Yeah, that really we got nowhere to go but up.
Okay.
And I remember being a kid trying out for sports. And when you try out for sports, man, like you look at the athletes, like the athletes in your class and the grade above you, the grade below you, and whatnot. And you get like those guys are going to make the team because they're good. Well, those guys don't go to the school that I coach at.
Oh,
because there's 3 middle schools in town now.
Okay. And so they're all at different schools.
One of the schools, I guess their baseball team is pretty much the travel team that travels all year. So they've been playing together. Then the other school is also been around for a while and very good. And then our school, as one of the school resource officers described to me the other day, is like the inner city school of Kingman, which it literally is. So you don't exactly get the best of the best kids. And, it's unfortunate because the kids on our team are very good kids. I mean, they're trying. They've got good attitudes from what I can tell. It's just that some of them are not. They're going to be a body on the field.
Okay. All right.
So hopefully we get something out of that. But it's going to take
participation medals are not part of the goal, or that's not good enough just to play. You have to win.
No. In fact, I spent last week's final practice of the week. Our first game is this coming Friday. I spent the last part of our practice asking them very, very directly if they think they've earned a spot in a starting rotation on the field over the last 2 weeks of practice. And if they haven't, what do they have to do to earn that spot? And if they have, what do they need to do to keep that spot? So I'm hoping these kids took that as direct as an opportunity for some moments of self-reflection. But I also remember that being that age.
So, and you thought the coach was a total tool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So we'll see. I mean, grade check is Tuesday this week, and so we'll see how many are eligible after grade check, and then we'll go from there. But it is an adventure. I mean, they're all good kids. I had one kid he's currently failing English, but he says he's almost got it to a D at 28%. So I'm hoping his math grade's better than that too.
Wow.
But
wow. So when you were playing, because you played baseball when you were younger, right?
Yeah.
So what was the best piece of advice your coach gave you when you were playing that you still to this day think of, maybe not from a sports perspective, but just a life perspective?
Oh man, I'll be honest. I don't think I don't think that my coach, my last coach I had, was the reason I quit playing baseball, because he was so terrible.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
not good.
Because he was so terrible, I guess the only advice I could really say is that attitude is everything, and you're gonna get what you put into it, but it's all gonna be based on your attitude.
Yeah, I played soccer. Soccer was my sport when I was a kid, and I had a coach. I had the coach that gave me the winner never quits and a quitter never wins.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that?
Oh yeah.
That was a life lesson, and frankly, I held on to that. why is it that some lessons or some pieces of advice stick with us so vividly, and other pieces of advice we get given, and it doesn't mean anything, or it doesn't resonate within us?
I think it's the source. I
Okay.
think when you get and you look at it, you know, free advice is worth every penny that you pay for it. So
Wow. Okay. Okay.
you have to,
Explain that a little bit to me, because that's interesting. I've never heard that said before.
because you get what you pay for with that. So if someone offers you free advice, and I'm sure we all have people out there that offers free advice all the time, whether we ask for it or not, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because there's a good chance that person doesn't know what they're talking about, and they're just telling you what they would do in that situation if they were in that situation. So just because that's what they would do doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. If my neighbor gives me advice on filing taxes and they're a retired, groundskeeper, I'm going to take that advice a whole lot differently than I would if, I don't know, say my accountant gave me advice on my taxes.
Well, and I guess I would say the exact opposite. Sometimes when someone gives you advice without any expectation of anything in return, uh, that is valuable, because most people, value what they think, value what they say, and usually will try to elicit some sort of, "Hey, I'll help you with this, but you do something for me." So my experience has always been, if someone is willing and cares enough about you to give you free advice, um, that that it obviously is something to value more than someone who says, "Hey, pay me $50 and I'll give you some great advice."
So I guess that's just about
Oh,
perspective.
that's interesting. But you and I look at it from two different viewpoints. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it's and I'm not saying that I don't look free advice like a gift horse in the mouth, but like I said, it's circumstance and situation. I'm not going to like I said, take you your source. So if chances are, if you're getting free advice, it's from someone and we all have those people in our lives that, like, they know a little bit of something about everything. Whether they do or not remains is an argument all in itself. But in their mind, they are an expert on everything, and I'm sure people like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
they're always the ones that give advice, whether you want it or not. And those are always the ones that you have to be wary of.
Yeah, I watch a lot of investment videos on YouTube, and most of them I've kind of picked out the two main ones that you watch. Usually, it's a young kid who wants to tell you about this great investment strategy that you can triple your money, in 3 days, and it's the easiest thing in the world. And if you pay me $19 a month, I'll give you all the free deals you want, and I'll give you great advice and do all this, right?
Yeah.
It's either those people, or it's the Warren Buffett and very successful investors who basically have a very simple approach to life that also equates to their business. And for me, it seems like it's always easier for me to listen to the sound sage advice of someone like who's accomplished something than it is for some young kid who's, is like a salesman. He's just trying to get you energized to do something.
Yeah.
Um, and so when I think back at the people in my life who've given me advice on something, I may not have been ready for it, but when I was ready for it, it always seemed like, wow, that's a good piece of advice. And even if I wasn't ready for it then, they gave it to me anyways, and I've learned a lot from it.
It's funny what I'm hearing out of this conversation so far is that you watch videos on YouTube about investors who know what they're talking about. And I guess at this point in your life, that's a very smart thing to do. And then I look at the things I watch on YouTube, which are conspiracy theories, Sasquatch, and cooking shows, and realize that we are in two very different boats in this world. But your boat
Well,
is definitely more luxurious.
oh, well, no, I believe me. I would say that you're definitely financially more successful than I am. I'm just catching up late. See, I don't have time to waste on conspiracy theories. I've got to get moving. Where you're already doing really good, and so you can afford to. I'm doing okay. I've gotten good sage advice over my earlier years, and now I can just kind of watch conspiracy theories. So I get it. I
I
get
don't know
it.
if that's the case with like financial. It's like I think my brother will attest to this too. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, so our parents scripted saved. So it was like imprinted on us at a very early age. And my mom is a very good spender, and my dad is a very good saver. So
Yes. Okay.
and I'm a combination of the two. I don't buy anything big unless I can buy it twice.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you kind of, oh, that's good. That hey, wait, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
So like smaller things. I'm not talking about houses or cars, but I don't buy anything unless I can, I can go out and buy if I had to. So that's like I just bought a brand new Blackstone tabletop griddle because I wanted to play with one, and I did the research. I spent about $250 on it, was all said and done. But
Okay.
I had to be in my mind, okay, could I buy two if I had to? It just as an example. Like, yeah, I can. So okay, I can afford this. Is it going to hurt me? No. So I have a I'm broke point in my checking account, and
Got you. Okay, and you've set that up for yourself as
yeah,
your strategy for just making sure that you always have that comfort level.
and I try to raise that by $1,000 every year.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. So
That's really cool.
this year, I'll just say it like $10,000 is my I'm broke point is what I'm working toward.
Wow. Congratulations. That's awesome.
So and that's the thing though. It's like you have that money, but I don't have that money. Like it's there, but that's my oh shit fund. So once I break that threshold, I go back to all right, man, I don't have it's groceries and gas and whatever else. I don't have fuck around money. You
Right.
know,
That's your signal to say, you know what? I'm having too much fun. I'm going to slow down a little bit, get
yeah,
that
exactly,
back up to a savings. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So it's balance, and it's just trying to accommodate all that stuff. So it's it takes experience and just trial and error.
Well, I look at like Noreen's dad. If you were to ask him what's the best way to accumulate wealth, his advice is going to be totally different than my advice, or who's going to be totally different than your advice.
Oh yeah,
And so, but one of the things that you at least have to acknowledge is like someone like Noreen's father, who's very conservative, but it worked for him, right? His strategy worked for him. And he has that level of comfort in his mind and heart that, yeah, I did it the right way. Even though other people might say, oh man, your advice is horrible. You know what I mean? But his advice is his advice. And it kind of leads to a question I've been having over the last few months. There's a lot of people who are anti-vaxxers, don't want to do anything with vaccines, and but they're willing to take a try at that
I,
invitromycin
I,
or that whatever that horse tranquilizer
I
medication is.
the parasite drug. Yeah,
Yeah. So it tells me that they're open to taking advice, but they've selected who the advice they're going to value, and the medical community they don't value it, and some other person who comes up with something like this they do value. So how do you make sure that the advice that you are given is something that you'll actually listen to, or not discount?
you know, everyone, and it's a preferential thing where everyone has the people that the channels they trust, just for information, whether it be actual channels like the news or people in their life, or they have the places they go to make themselves feel better about the choices they're making. Makes sense.
It does. Is that what you do? Like you have a list of people in your head that when you hear a piece of advice, it will
Yeah,
stick,
yeah.
or
Like if the like okay, we'll use the ivermectin thing for an example.
okay.
Those people who think ivermectin is the way to go, have already clearly made their choice that they will not take an experimental vaccine, but they will take the experimental idea that ivermectin works because it's been around longer, even though it's just been for horses.
Right.
Uh,
Okay. Okay.
so it makes them feel better about the situation. Understand?
Yeah, no, I totally do.
So
Yeah.
if they feel better about this situation, it's easier for them to process. And I think that's what a lot of people do. People in the medical field obviously know where to go to look up the research on vaccines or whatever else. So they feel more confident in the science because that is literally what their job and occupation is about the advancement of science and medical knowledge. So I that to me says a lot about who you are and what you do based on the sources that you follow for your information.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, when I listen for advice, I do feel that advice that resonates within you as a person, maybe emotionally or logically, that advice is easier um, to digest than something that just doesn't make a lot of sense. I'll give you an example. So, like I said, I like to watch a lot of investment videos, and some of the people that I watch, they're random people. They're not like specialists or anything, but they'll explain a stock idea or a way to pick a stock over another way. Some of those people's advice makes sense to me simply because my knowledge and my logic says, "Oh, that makes sense to me. I'm going to take that person's advice
Yeah.
over someone else." So, like you said, trusting not even trusting the person, but trusting what they're saying because it makes sense to me. I'm willing to give it a little bit more credence than a piece of advice that doesn't meet the criteria of I understand it, I trust it, it makes sense to me, and I'm willing to give it a try.
Well, I think age and experience goes a long way with that too. I think it's the trial and error of just living life, and you understand you understand if you got half a brain in your head that who you should go to advice, whose advice you should take, and whose advice you should avoid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't really think of anything where I've ever gotten bad advice, but I took it anyways. Um, I'm
Oh, I
trying to think of something like that, but have you ever had that where you got bad advice, but you took it anyways?
yeah, and that's again, and when you say take advice, you mean I've listened. It doesn't mean I went out and actually did it.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking more along the lines of you got bad advice, you took it anyways, and it didn't turn out well. I
Yeah,
can't
like,
remember something like that for me. So I guess they say that our internal perceptions, like our radars, like we can tell when we talk to someone, we just don't get a good vibe from them.
yeah,
I feel like with advice, it's kind of the same way. When something just doesn't sound right, it's it, it's very obvious to me. That just doesn't sound like good advice.
yeah. I mean, that goes along with trusting your gut. If you don't trust your gut in a lot of those areas, that's where you get burned. You know,
Yeah,
and that's just part of the game, really. You
yeah.
know,
Now, like my mom, she wanted me when I graduated from college. She really, really, really wanted me to go and get a job as like a cruise director,
yeah,
where I got on a cruise line and traveled. That was one piece of advice that, when I look back, while I would not change any of my life, I thought, man, that was really good advice that my mom gave that I should have listened to, maybe that I
yeah.
didn't.
I get that because my dad told me I should have stayed in Phoenix at least for another semester, and I should have stayed working for the Diamondbacks,
Yeah.
and I didn't. And obviously, if I would have stayed there, then this show wouldn't be here today, most likely. But it's everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it doesn't change the fact that it would have been a good idea now, but at the time when I was 22, I just wasn't in a place that made any sense. So
Oh,
it would have made sense at 50, it wouldn't have made sense at 22. So maybe advice also has to be timely.
yeah, and that's exactly it. Good advice isn't just good because it hits all the notes of this is the right thing to do. It has to hit you with the right point in your life where you're willing to take the advice and listen and accept it.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I don't, and just kind of wrapping it up, I know that there's been a lot of things that people have told me over the years that it didn't resonate at the time they told me, but 10 years later, 15 years later, it proved itself that was great advice. And it's never too late to take good advice.
Oh,
Even if you've been given something and you didn't use it 20 years ago, but you're using it now, that's okay. The advice will stay with you as long as you keep it, and if it helps you 20 years later, then it was good advice.
Well, I will tell you some advice that someone gave you the other week worked out like a charm when they said take the Rams in the Super Bowl. You listened and you bet a bottle of whiskey on it, and
I did.
I happen to owe you a bottle of whiskey now. So when I see you next, which if not sooner, it will be the weekend of April 23rd when I'm down there, when Janice and I are down there for the Tillman run.
There we go.
We will share a bottle of whiskey.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I have to admit, I was listening to a lot of the people talking on the news and talking on sports TV saying that the Bengals were going to win. They were going to, beat the Rams. So I was looking in Tennessee for a Tennessee whiskey, something unique, something a little different to meet my end of the bet. And had I lost, I would have gotten something to bring home.
Well, I guess to the victor go the spoils in this case.
That's right.
That weekend can't come soon enough, my friend, to hang out with you and Noreen and spend an evening on your back porch sipping some the wonderful whiskey.
And the weather will be beautiful by then. The pool might even be a little warm too. It'll be awesome.
Oh, that'll be nice. Yeah, we're definitely.
Yeah, that'll be really good.
Now, since you are there that weekend, will you run or walk the Tillman with me this year?
I will say that I'm leaning toward a no. I have been dealing with some foot and ankle issues for the last 2 or 3 months. That between the gout, a sprained ankle, and an inflamed tendons in my Achilles, my feet have just been messed up. I haven't run in 3 months.
Oh wow!
So if that can get better, if I can get that under control and I can get in better shape, I might do that. It would be fun to run and walk again. But at this point, I'm not in physically good shape right now. I'm just now getting back to where I don't have like just massive pain in my heels and my ankles and my feet.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. I mean, it's a goal to work toward. Janice has to run a Ragnar and Zion 3 weeks later, so she's using this as good practice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good advice. Good advice.
I will be cheering her on in Zion that weekend. So I'll be using this as a chance to walk through my old college campus at a leisurely pace, enjoying the beautiful April weather.
That sounds amazing. Let's see if we can put that together. That sounds like good.
That would be fun. If you decide you want to run the Tillman with us down in Phoenix this year, when you sign up, use the group hashtag Liquid Carnage.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You will be in the same corral with myself and Janice and possibly Jason. If you decide you want to go on this adventure with us, don't worry. There's 10,000 people running. I don't plan on winning, so I will be walking / slightly jogging, enjoying myself while Janice is doing her training, and it'll be a nice day. So join us April 23rd down in Tempe.
That's really awesome. Yeah, let's hopefully we can put that together. That'd be fun.
That'd be very nice. I think so. But if you've gotten some good advice or bad advice, I want to share with us and how it worked out for you. We'd like to hear about it. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, all at Liquid Carnage. If you have some sound advice for our EP Tom for springtime activities up in the Denver metro area, hit him up on Twitter, Instagram at liquid_EP.
It's good to be recording again, my friend. I know we missed last week, but it's good to be recording again.
It is. And
welcome back.
It did feel off.
Me too.
I look forward to these conversations every week, and I know that there's a show that we release with it, but for me, it's also the conversation and the connection that we have as co-hosts and friends, because I think this has given each other a deeper level of understanding of us to each other. So we tend to listen to each other's advice more often than we might have in the past,
Yeah, when you're looking at 6 years, it's been a long time. We've been doing this a long time.
Oh gosh, all right. When you say
we're coming up on the end of 5 years, yeah.
Oh man.
Crazy. I know.
Time flies.
I know. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your week. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.